Tell me, Jill, you were saying about the environment you were working in and, very male oriented and potentially quite old fashioned. How did they respond to your challenges? Because I guess for some of the people listening now, they may not be in the same sort of environment, but they may feel a little bit intimidated by the people around them. So how did they respond, and how did you work with that?
The response was different. To be fair, the response was mainly very positive, and it was and surprise. But as ever, there were elements and some people who didn't want to change, didn't feel, I think they felt threatened. This was very early days of people uprooting their lives and families down to a completely unknown town and part of the country, and they just wanted to carry on doing it in the way they had, because in those days you started a career and you thought that by the time you got to age 60 you'd be presented with a gold watch and that was it, and you'd always be doing the same thing. So it's, in fairness, my observation over the years is challenging and asking about change or what could be different or why are we doing it this way, how about doing it another way. The reaction was very similar to now, really, that for most of the time people are quite keen to listen, but there will always be areas where it is seen as a threat or a challenge, or that sounds too difficult, or no, we just got to get on with doing what we're doing because that's, we're up against deadlines and, all that good thing. So although the scenario was different, the reaction, I would say, from my observation, it is quite similar, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. we were just in different eras, but in some ways it's no different.
So I understand you've worked in many different types of organisations. Do you want to share just a couple of those?
Yeah, I did spend a good 20 years, just under 20 years in corporate life, but changing career many times. First of all, I was a business analyst. As a business analyst within projects, I discovered that it needed good project management, good leadership. So then I progressed into that. Then as a project manager, I realised you needed good strategic direction and strategic planning. So I then moved into strategic planning, and I learned all sorts of wonderful techniques and ways along the way. Two that were quite instrumental was being Crosby trained in TQM, and that fundamentally as a way of life of doing it right first time and having that communication and breaking down barriers, which was quite fundamental in my learning. And the other was as a European business excellence. Firstly, I took my area, my department, through it, but then became an assessor myself, because the thing I liked about that, in conjunction with any other kind of quality standards, is that it looked at the whole picture, the enablers as well as the outcomes and the processes in the middle. So those two things were the bedrock of my business understanding. But the thing, and I go back to my very first day at work, that stuck with me and has stuck with me to this day is it's all about people. Because I learnt, it's almost, I don't even list the kinds of courses and things that I've done now, because I've done them, but for me it's all about the fact that whatever change we're talking about, people are at the heart of it. And then as an individual, it's who we are and what we can do for ourselves that is the thing that really excites me.